All right, so we are here. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, I'm Law Ream, and I work for Davidoff, and I'm the Zino brand activation manager.
Okay, so...
But wait, can you explain brand activation manager?
yeah, we'll get into that in a second.
Okay,
First of all, Jack already did that on the Camacho thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. So he's Jack for Zino.
He's a Zino version.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm half the man Jack is.
Who's not?
So, so I've done a little bit of research about you. So you started off in the PCA, converted over to the CRA, right? And now somewhere along the lines you find yourself at Zino, huh?
Yeah, so I kicked the FDA's
That's why I recognize
ass.
the name. Okay, the PCA and the CRA. Okay,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got you. All right.
So I
his
took the
name is Scott.
FDA.
I know it.
I took the FDA to town, and I was like, you know what? That's enough for my career.
Right.
I kicked the FDA's ass in court, and now I work for Davidoff selling Zino cigars.
And here you are. You figured, hey, you peaked already in the political realm. But all kidding aside, you did have a run-in where Steve Saka thought that you were Scott Weeks of PCA.
I've had so many run-ins with people.
Yeah.
Nish from
Rocky Patel. Nish doesn't know what's going on half the time anyways.
That's eventually what he said.
Yeah.
He was like, because this year at PCA, Scott had a family emergency, and he had to leave the first day of PCA.
Right.
And Nish comes up. He's like, Scott, what are you doing here? I heard about your family. I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, man, I thought you left. What are you doing? I was like, look, man, the PCA is way more important than my family. So, He's like, are you serious? Like, I heard it was bad. And I was like, Nish, dude, I'm not Scott. And he goes, oh, I just got done drinking with Rocky. I'm like, it's 7 a.m. He's like, yeah, it was an early night.
Dude, those, Mike Wasp has told me some scary stories about Rocky Patel. I'm just kidding. He hasn't said anything like that.
I want to throw down a gauntlet right here. I think I can outdrink Rocky Patel.
No way.
That's quite the
There's
statement.
no way.
You hear me, Rocky?
There's no way.
Yeah, he's a big fan.
No. Here's the thing.
Yeah, he listens all the time.
I can outdrink him.
Yeah.
But I can't get up at fucking 2 hours later and run the whole day like I've never drank in my life. That's the thing. That's his superpower.
Yeah. It's not a superpower, just for the record. It's just
inhuman.
Additional implementation of other things to keep you going. Come on now.
Allegedly,
of course.
I'm from Miami. It snows often there.
There you go. Just like Deadpool Wolverine.
I didn't see
We're
that
not
one
allowed to talk about that. You didn't see it?
Not yet.
There's a whole diatribe about how they're not allowed to talk about
drugs.
Snow animals and all types of things. It's like hilarious. So how long have you been going by the name Law?
Since I was 18. So I was in Navy Special Operations.
Okay.
And my first roommate was this stud named Blue Jones.
Gotcha.
And we got this apartment right outside.
So the bullets thing is like, it's legit. It's not, you didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I just want to get a cool bullet tattoo.
I mean, I did that before I did. I was like 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
I was like, if I do this, I'll be cool the rest of my life.
You were destined for.
I had to shoehorn myself into somewhere cool.
Gotcha.
No, yeah, I got that post Iraq. But so Blue, we got this great bachelor pad where I was 19. Okay, so 19. I lied already. Can't trust anything this guy says.
You're in the cigar industry, bro. We don't believe you already.
So we had this great bachelor pad right outside Qualcomm Stadium where the Chargers played. So all the cheerleaders lived there.
Okay.
So we had a housewarming party, and he invites all of his brothers and all the cheerleaders. So we're hanging out, we're drinking, and all of a sudden these cheerleaders show up, and he's like, "What's up, ladies? I'm Blue. This is my brother Colt, my brother Steele, my brother Knight, and my roommate Larry." That's exactly what the girls did. They just started laughing at me. He's like, "Brother, if you're gonna live in this house," he's like, "we're gonna be getting some like grade A female attention in this place." That's the PC way of saying it.
Right.
You can't be going by such a terrible name. So I'm trying to break it down to like where I won't get fired.
You're not gonna get fired. Listen, here's the thing. Look, honestly, we pre-record these things.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you ever feel like, hey, I said something that you know maybe I kind of crossed the line there or whatever, we'll just subtract it out.
No, I'm definitely playing it up a little too much.
Yeah, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be totally fine.
I did the Cigar Authority a couple weeks ago, and they got back to me and they're like, "That was great. That was fantastic. We love it." I was like, "Oh, cool."
So as of right now, you're you're living in a van.
Down by the river.
You're living in a van down by the river. I mean, I ran into you in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
At Lake Country's cigar auction event.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Cigar and Brewfest, something like that.
Yeah, they're trying. Matt's trying to do something positive, right?
Yeah.
So I think that he's got some things to kind of critique. I don't think that he was happy with the overall outcome. I guess I wouldn't be satisfied with it, regardless of whatever it was, right? So
yeah,
I think he's going to keep working on it for sure.
I had a good time. I thought it was a great event.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had a good time. But I went over to you to go and get. You guys had water. You guys had like Topo Chico.
Yeah.
And you have this whole elaborate setup.
Yeah.
You got this van, you're pulling this thing, you got, I don't remember, umbrellas, like all chairs, all kinds of shit, right?
Yeah.
Not a single Zino bottle opener to be found.
It's
not a single one.
They're expensive.
That's
where
it's
like 75% and 75 cents per bottle opener. Like, who do you think we are?
That's where you guys draw the line, huh?
No, $250,000 for this truck? Can't do the bottle opener.
That's it. Out of budget. Out of budget. Before you got into the cigar industry, you were in photography?
Yes. So when I was in the military, we did recon. So I learned photography. And when I got back from the Philippines, I saw this hot little Filipino chick in a bar in San Diego. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go over there and spit some Tagalog at her. So like this other guy's hitting on her. I go over and I just like speak the few things I know in Tagalog.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I was born here. So
right.
I don't know any of that. I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. So the other guy's like, he was like, that was the worst approach ever. And then she said something about photography. And I was like, oh, I know cameras.
Right.
And then I talked the other guy out of the room. And then she's like, so I got a wedding tomorrow. Do you want to come do this with me? I was like,
really?
I was like, well, all right. Yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to get in your pants. I guess I'll do it.
You're kidding me. So you randomly approach this girl.
Yeah.
And you kind of walk your way into a job.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I had a way cooler job in real life, I was just like, she's really cute. So
right.
I'll go shoot this wedding.
I'll go take pictures at a wedding.
I didn't realize there was so much work. There was like zero time to talk to her and flirt with her. And turns out she was married. So her husband like came to help the setup and everything.
Like,
yeah.
So you totally got baited, bro.
I did, but then I learned there's a lot of money in weddings. So
did she at least pay you?
Yeah, she paid me really well.
Okay.
For like not knowing anything about the job.
Right.
So then I was like, oh, well, there's a lot of money in weddings. I'm going to get into that.
Right.
And I'm not the only, one of the other photographers I worked with in Miami was a former lineman for the Dolphins.
Okay.
So it's like, there's a lot of people that come from big careers and they get into weddings because there's so much money in it.
Right. So what were you doing before that? How did you find, so I get how you transitioned into it.
Yeah.
What were you doing before?
I was in the military.
Okay.
So,
but like you can't just up and leave the military.
Well, my 4 years was coming to an end.
Gotcha.
And I had the genius foresight to not re-enlist in 2007.
Right.
Thinking there's nothing terrible that's going to happen in 2008.
Right.
So I'm going to get out. Like the real reason I got out is because I was working 120 hour weeks for like $35,000 a year.
Right.
And I was like, this sucks. And my stepdad, who's like barely graduated high school, is making $100,000 a year selling truck parts, working like 30 hours a week. So I'm like, I'm going to get out and go get a regular job.
This seems stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I got out, and 2008 financial collapse happened, and I couldn't find a job for a whole year.
Gotcha.
So a couple of years.
So then you got into wedding photography because you have a whole YouTube page about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got into wedding photography. The money was really good. Then I started doing wedding video to expand, the income, really.
Right.
I never cared about weddings. I was never like, I love love so much.
I never cared about cigars, bro.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm being honest. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
So because the videos that you have on there are really, really intricate. They're really nicely done. But it just kind of, I guess like any YouTube channel or anything, when you kind of move on to the next segment in your life, just kind of stops, right? So they're probably maybe the last one was 4 years ago?
Yeah, about.
So, but you did all the editing and stuff for your own videos too, or did you have somebody else with you, or?
No, towards the end, I didn't do the photography or the videos. I was pretty much like a producer of the weddings.
Okay.
So I had extremely talented photographers and videographers working for me, and I just kept developing the business side of it.
Okay.
So I developed all these services that made all this extra money, and it actually made my life easier. I was like, I can't believe I can charge for this, but it actually makes my job easier.
Right.
So I'm like, my video guy was like, I hate shooting receptions. I'm like, all right, we'll go in there and edit a video during the wedding, and then we'll deliver it during the wedding, and I'll charge an extra $1,000 for having it delivered at the wedding.
Right.
When really we had to do it anyway. So so now they're getting actual less product,
Right.
Because they're not shooting the reception, but the couple felt like they were getting a better product,
Of course.
because now the video's already edited at their wedding.
Right. You have that whole captive audience right there as well.
Yeah, and
You
now I don't have to stress for the next 2 weeks about editing a video.
Right.
Same with the photos. Like I hired this rock star photographer. He shot like Dwayne Wade's wedding, Kevin Hart's wedding. Like he was a rock star, and he's like, same thing. I hate receptions. I'll do everything but receptions. I was like, get in there and start editing some photos. So he's a world champion Photoshop editor.
No kidding.
So like these photos are coming out, like, you know, magazine. He has a lot of magazine covers, and we're just delivering them at the weddings, and I'm charging an extra $1,000 for that service.
No kidding.
And I charged extra money because he had a famous portfolio, not because I did.
Right.
I'm like, hey, look, here's my celebrity photographer.
This is the guy.
But if they didn't want to pay for that package, I hired the same guy anyways.
All right. Well, if you don't want that, we'll get somebody else in here.
Yeah.
So what are you doing tomorrow? Okay. So you got into this whole thing
Yep.
all because you walked up to a girl at a bar.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then after, so you did that wedding with her, and you're like, hey, I can do this.
Yeah. I was like, I can't believe you just made $5,000 for one day of work. This
Right.
is ridiculous. So I was like, I want to get into this. It seems like a racket.
And then you built this whole thing up. You had a whole team with you, and it's going well.
Yeah.
So then what happens? How do you find yourself out of this successful business, and then eventually find yourself in a yellow van traveling around the world or the U.S.?
So again, there's something else on the horizon I didn't predict. I was like, so at the time, I expanded out of weddings, and I was shooting commercial projects for big hotel chains and big restaurant chains.
Oh, no shit.
And that was actually way more work and the same amount of money as weddings. But
I believe
you
it.
just feel more professional. You're like, oh,
Right.
Because wedding photographers are totally looked down upon. Like, you know,
Well, I guess the entry level to get into it isn't hard, right? Now, I mean, levels of expertise as you get into it are definitely different, but it's just like being a real estate agent. You can go take the test, and you can become a realtor, right?
I have always compared wedding photographers to realtors.
There you go.
I'm like, anybody could do it. Only a few can make a lot of money at it.
Right. Makes sense.
So I was charging like $25,000 per wedding at the end.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
Okay, so something's on the horizon that you don't see coming,
Yeah, so I'm doing hotels,
right?
I'm doing restaurants, I'm doing events.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm really well diversified. There's nothing that can come out of nowhere and just wipe me out completely.
Right.
Then the pandemic happened.
Then there's COVID.
It's like,
There's COVID.
I made, in 2019, I made $190,000 that year.
Right.
In 2020, I made $30,000.
Ooh, that's quite the dip.
Yeah, I had one client that came out of nowhere,
Really?
Nick Perdomo.
Okay.
I was tailgating with him at Miami Hurricanes football games. I kept like, hey, let me shoot your cigars. I'm really good at this. And he's like,
Right.
nah, we're good. I went on a factory tour, and he actually had his hired photographer there, and the guy was pissing him off, complaining about his hotel room. We went out at like 4 a.m. to shoot the sunrise.
In Esteli, what hotel was he expecting to stay at?
I know. Now, he complained about the one in Managua. The one in Esteli is like way worse. So he was already complaining at the peak of the trip.
Right. It's like, this is terrible.
Yeah, and with Nick Perdomo, like if he does something for you, you do not complain about it no matter what.
Gotcha.
Because he doesn't like that. So this guy started off on the wrong foot immediately.
Okay.
And then eventually at the end of the trip, he's like looking at my photos, looking at his. Like I wanted to go back out the next day because the first day of sunset over the tobacco fields, it was like terrible. It was overcast. You couldn't get any the highlights of the suns on the leaves. So they're like, what do you think? I was like, it was terrible. Can we go back out tomorrow? And we had to get up at like 4 a.m. to do this.
Right.
And this is technically my vacation.
Right.
So the hired photographer is like, nah, I'm good. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
It was done.
So that was like the last straw for Nick. And at the end of the trip, he goes, can you stay in Nicaragua for 3 more days? I was like, did I just get hired?
Did I just find myself another job?
Yeah. So even though it was like the lowest paying job I had at the time, because this was like 2018.
Right.
It was like the lowest paying job I had at the time. I was so excited to just do cigar work.
Right.
Just be completely outside the food and events industry.
So you've always liked cigars, though?
Yes. I've been smoking since I was 18.
Okay. All right. So you start working with Perdomo. That's really how you kind of enter yourself into this cigar world.
Yes.
Eventually, you stop working with Nick Perdomo, I would assume.
Yes. We butted heads a lot.
Yeah.
Like, because Nick is a genius businessman, But at the time, nobody in the cigar industry understood YouTube, right? And I studied this hard. And
Right.
I convinced him. I started convincing him in 2019 to do a YouTube channel. I was like, we got to do this. Trust me. There's no manufacturer doing it at this level. Like, you have a couple retailers doing it. You have a bunch of other people that don't even work in cigars doing it, but no manufacturers doing it. You can take over the industry.
Right.
So 6 months of convincing him, we finally do the YouTube channel, and this is when we got the timing right. We launched our first video January of 2020. It was a perfect storm.
Oh, okay.
Like-
That actually works because people are
Like,
staring at their phones. And,
nobody's doing YouTube at this time,
Right.
especially in the cigar industry. Like, it's like Tim and like a couple other people.
Right.
There's people are now stuck at home. You know, they have money to spend still, and they have a lot more time to smoke cigars
Right.
and consume YouTube. So it was the perfect storm, and the channel blew up, and we're doing 1 million views a month within 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible, dude.
just on YouTube. No, not putting it anywhere else.
Right.
It was incredible.
So you were with him for about 2 years, around 2020, 2021 is when you stopped, or
2020, mid 2020.
okay.
So we just kept butting heads, you know,
Right.
because I would not let the quality go down, and they wanted to do it the way they always do Perdomo, and I'm like, you can't do that on YouTube. It's not going to work.
Right.
And so we were just always fighting.
Well, you're an artist,
Yeah.
right? When you produce stuff, it's art.
Yes.
It's a tremendous amount of work
It
and
is.
time, and then when you go and review it, you analyze it, you adjust it over and over and over again until you eventually find yourself with the content that you like, right?
Yes.
So you build this whole thing, and he's like, "Hey, that's not what we want. That's not the image that we're looking for."
Right. Yeah, they were like I had a few jokes in there, and they're like, "Hey, Perdomo's a serious brand. We don't do jokes around here." You
Right.
know? And but I was making the content geared towards, you know, like 25-year-olds,
Right.
people just getting into cigars. I'm like, you have all these like 40, 50, 60-year-olds smoking your cigars. We're
Right.
not making content for them. So it was a whole new market that they were, you know, not used to
Right.
approaching. So I'm like, this, whatever works for them does not work for this group. They're a totally different breed.
Yeah, 100%.
So
And
eventually,
your 40, 50, 60-year-olds, they get older and they die, right? And
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you have new consumers coming in.
exactly. Like, so totally different subject. Nobody agrees with me on this at all.
Okay?
But I think Padron's going to die out a lot sooner than anyone thinks.
Really?
Because they have all these dedicated, loyal smokers in their 50s and 60s. When they die off, they have nobody to replace them.
Right.
There's no, you know, 30-year-olds are like going out there just like, oh, I need to smoke Padron. They're trying all these thousands of different brands out there. You know, they don't know which one to choose.
Right.
So I think they're very complacent right now because they don't market. They have a very small sales team. They have no social media presence whatsoever. They don't do interviews. They don't do anything.
Right.
So I think they're going to die out sooner than most companies.
I think I think that their format is actually quite intriguing. You know, I understand what you're saying as far as the age bracket. Yeah, that does make sense to some degree, but I can tell you that there's definitely some youth that is smoking Padrones.
Yeah.
You know, so though everything that they do is not the norm to some degree, I could tell you year over year, they're still the fastest growing brand in our store. Which is
Really?
crazy. Yeah.
Well, maybe in your store. And they're in every store I go to. They are. So they have a great presence.
Right.
But I think if complacency kills, I mean,
That's true.
you look at Kodak, right? They developed
Right.
the first digital camera, got mad at the guy, fired him, and then they were out of business.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's very true. I mean, it's very possible.
it can happen overnight if you get complacent.
All of a sudden, yeah, absolutely. Or, you know, maybe they get like a Padron van,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and they stick, you know, maybe you jump or something, or they stick somebody else in there and they travel around and they, you know, and they have bottle openers.
Yeah. Well,
At that point, they're above you.
who's complacent now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Surprise. Surprise, Zino. All right, so you're working with Perdomo. Somewhere along the lines, you find your way with Drew Estate, right?
Yeah. So my contract came to an end with Perdomo. We said after 6 months we'll sit down, we'll reevaluate.
Right.
He's like, hey, I love what you're doing, but like it's expensive. So like either give me a better deal or we're done. I was like, well, I guess we're done because there's a lot of work. I can't do it for less money. Like,
Right.
I was putting like 40 to 60 hours in each video.
Yeah.
So we were doing 2 videos a month.
That's
And we
a ton.
wanted to up it to 1 video a week, so 4 videos a month,
Right.
but not change the price. And I was like, I can't. I would love to do it, but I can't. It's just not
It's
feasible.
not right.
So
without you hiring another person to help you,
yeah,
and then you got to pay that person.
right.
Yeah.
And I had a business partner. I was splitting a commission with him because he introduced me to Nick Perdomo. So I wasn't even taking most of that home.
Was he doing anything?
No, he's. I had a deal with him. Like he's the one who introduced me to a lot of my clients pre-pandemic.
Right.
So he was. He's now my business partner on the Republic of Debauchery channel.
Right.
But before that, I worked at a law firm and met him, and
Okay.
we were both like heavy cigar smokers and drinkers, so we got along really well. And he was like senior up in the law firm, and I was like, hey, look, man, I was like, I do all this stuff on the side. Like, what if you just introduce me to some of your clients? Because he was representing, Canon, you know, like the printing company side of the business. He was representing Aero Mexico. Like he had Four Seasons hotels. Like he had big clients. I was like, introduce me to some of these people. I'll give you 20% commission on everybody you introduce me to throughout the entire time they're my client.
Right.
So for him, it was just like do a couple meetings and then I make money for the the next 3 or 4 years. I probably paid him out like $80,000 from Perdomo.
No shit.
Yeah.
So that's 20%, but not half, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I was doing 20%, then the cost of like I kept upgrading equipment. So I was paying another 40% from each video into that. So I was walking
Right.
away with like, at one point I did the math and after 3 or 4 months, I was like breaking even on the videos because I wanted to be so successful.
Right. Because you just kept reinvesting in your stuff.
Yeah. Making it better, new lights, new,
Right.
Audio equipment,
Yeah. It's kind of like this whole thing for us. We fucking just hemorrhage cash over. It makes us no money. We refuse to take ad space.
Yeah.
Like none whatsoever. Like that's not happening. Right?
Yeah.
Because I want to say whatever the hell I want to say. If I want to talk about Rocky Patel and Colombian Bam Bam, I'm going to. You know what I mean? It's just gonna happen. So
yeah, we talked on our YouTube channel. We made a video at Gurkha's expense.
right.
And like, I love Juan. Juan's such a good dude, Juan Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, he was the first one to comment on the video. He's like, great video, guys. And it was like the #1 video from PCA. They had like 12,000 views the first week. And I was just like, sorry, Juan. It was true though.
It is what it is. You know. Yeah, you got to say some fun stuff. You got to keep it interesting.
Yeah.
You know, if you keep it really jejune, no one's gonna watch. No one's paying attention. It's not fun. It's not even fun to do the interviews. You know. So, all right. So, how did you find yourself with Drew Estate? So, Perdomo, I'm bringing you back. So, Perdomo contract ends.
So I go with my now business partner Albert, and I'm just bitching up a storm. We're drinking, we're smoking, and I'm just like, you know how much money that channel could have made? That could have been so successful. And he gets so annoyed at me. He goes, how much money is it going to take you to like shut the fuck up right now?
Right.
I was like, $100,000. He's like, no, seriously. I was like, no, seriously, $100,000. We start our own channel today. He goes, really? I was like, yeah, you know the business model. You know I'm good at it. He's like, all right, let's do it. And there's a few things I didn't take into account.
Right.
One, this was 2 years after the pandemic started. There's now like 3 times the creators on YouTube. So the barrier to entry is way higher. Like when we did Perdomo, all we had to do was do better video quality and better audio quality and a little bit of script writing. No problem. Now you have to do storytelling, fancy editing. Like you have to do all these things to get ahead of everyone else.
Right.
So we started the channel and we didn't have a direction to go in either. Like because we didn't want to do cigar reviews like everyone else.
Right.
So we kept trying everything. And when you don't stick to one subject, if you don't stick to one like style or one like if you do cigar reviews, only do cigar reviews.
Right.
If you're going to interview
Kinda stay in your
people,
lane.
only interview people.
Right.
And so we were doing interviews and some cigar reviews and some myth busting and like, so our audience.
Like Andrew Tate and testosterone.
Yes.
Yeah,
like
I
that
watched
video.
recently.
So we kind of use it as, we're like, all right, we'll use our YouTube channel as an experiment and start selling this to other companies.
Right.
So we ran into Jack Hare and Joe Grow at PCA. We like shelled out like $6,000, went to PCA, filmed a bunch of videos, like $8,000. And then we're like, we're not getting any views from these videos. They're like 40, 50 views per interview. Like it wasn't going well. And then we run into Jack Hare and Joe Grow and they're like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, oh yeah, we did the Perdomo YouTube channel. So we're trying to ask other companies if they want us to do them for them. He goes, you guys did Perdomo? It's like, we've been looking for you. Like literally, like we love that channel. We've been looking for, like we've been flying these guys in from out of state and they suck. Like we really, we're like, oh, we're in Miami too. And like, perfect, you're hired. You're like, well, you want to, and they're like, no, you're hired. Like, so we did that and then we shopped it around a little bit more. We did some stuff for Aganorsa, some stuff for Smoke In. We helped them with their NFC or NFT launch. And it was a lot of fun. We broke even on everything. We didn't make any money. I depleted all my life savings doing it, but we were enjoying it at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you came knocking to Zino, or what? How do you? So Drew Estate goes. You do all these kind of things in the industry, and you're still doing Republic Debauchery.
Yes.
Right?
No, not anymore.
It's done.
Yeah.
Okay. So the last show was what, a year or two ago, or
we posted. Actually, you should go check this out. We posted an interview with Matt Booth. That's insane.
I saw it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I saw the image of it.
Yeah.
But the Andrew Tate one actually I gravitated to that, and then I gravitated to there was an interview that you did from PCA, and it was and you're right. They're two totally different feels.
Yes.
Right. Like the Andrew Tate one was really well cut, well lighting. You have different angle shots. You have all of these things going on, and then I go to the PCA one. It was just kind of like, so hey. It's like, it was Oscar Valladares, which I just said wrong, but you said right.
Oscar Valladares.
That's it. Yeah.
I grew up in Miami. It's easier.
Gotcha. So, okay. So how do you find yourself in a van down by the river?
So Jack and I were making great videos at Drew Estate. They are some of the best videos out there. And Jack up and leaves and goes to Davidoff. And I'm like, what are you doing there? He's like, I'm a brand ambassador. He's like, it's great. I'm doing like...
No, it's a brand activation manager, sir.
Oh, God. See, I fall for that pitfall too.
See? Uh-huh.
So I actually got corrected in my job interview. During my job interview, I was like, so as a brand ambassador, and they're like, it's called a brand activation manager.
Right.
I was like, oh, okay.
Very sorry.
So, because brand ambassador sounds cool. You're like, I am an ambassador for a cigar company.
Right.
Brand activation manager means, it sounds like I go to events and I set them up for you.
Right.
And that's essentially what we do. But we like to believe that we're the ambassador.
Right.
So he leaves, and I was like, oh, that's a job? You can, I thought Pedro was the only ambassador in the whole industry.
Right.
And then he's like, no, I'm a brand ambassador for Camacho now. I was like, if anything else like that ever opens up, I was like, I'm happy with my business. It's doing okay. I'm still doing some side work, family portraits and stuff that make good money. I was like, but if anything opens up, let me know. And he posted on Facebook, Zino Activation Manager now available. And I looked it up, and I was like, when they first posted, it was like $140,000 a year. I was like, that's good. That's good money.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy cow.
So I apply for it, and then I'm looking up the posting again, and all of a sudden it's gone. And then they
Salaries
republish it, and they don't have any salary on there at all.
That was a typo. We're sorry.
Yeah. So I guess they probably because they needed to fill the position really quick.
Right.
So they're like, oh, let's put a lot of money, and then they probably got hundreds of applications. Everybody's like, I can smoke cigars for $140,000 a year.
Shit, for $140,000, I'm in.
Yeah, right.
Go Zino. I could wear all yellow. It'd be great. Yeah. It'd be fantastic.
I mean, that's the hardest part of the job is wearing the yellow.
All the yellow?
Yeah. It's my whole wardrobe now.
Just...
I went from gray tone, black and gray tones to banana.
Right.
So I put in my resume, and I put in the resume on 6 different websites. I really want this job. I even email the HR guys hey, I put in my resume just so you know.
Right.
Jack, go in there and put my physical resume on his desk.
Hey, just following up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do everything I can. So I get the first interview, and I see the pay is it's not what it was before.
Right.
So I'm like, oh well, now I'm having second thoughts. I've been building this business because at the same time we were launching our own online cigar shop.
Gotcha.
So I'm building. You
figure why not get a little more abuse? Why not do cigar retail as well?
Well, that was my business partner's idea, right?
Okay.
So
we could do this. I get it.
We're 3 years into this channel, and I'm like, bro, I was like, we're still breaking even. We're 3 years in. My savings is depleted. I think I got to go another route.
Right.
I'm sorry. I know you put a bunch of money into this. I put a lot of work into this.
Right.
But he goes, I have an idea. He's like, give me 1 week. I was like, how are you going to move the needle in 1 week?
Right.
And he comes back, he goes, here's our tobacconist license. We're going to sell cigars now. I was like, so your solution to our problems is to start a whole new
Another
business
job.
on top of the other businesses.
Right.
So I'm going to be essentially running 3 businesses by myself.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I was like, okay, let's do it. And then at the same time, this job opportunity comes up. So I'm almost done building the site, ready to launch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm about to do my first interview. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go smoke. I've never smoked the Zino Nicaragua. I'm going to go smoke it. If it sucks, I'm going to pull my resume.
Right.
So I'm 3 puffs in, 30 minutes before my first interview. I was like, damn, that's a pretty good cigar.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I could smoke this. I don't even have to sell it. It's a good cigar. And Davidoff knows that. They know it's a $15, $20 cigar that they're selling for $8.
Right.
So I go into the interview. Jack had to do 1.5 interviews, he says.
Right.
He had to do like 2 interviews, but one was like informal.
Uh-huh.
Like, they're like, you got the job. You got the tramp stamp. You got the
Right.
job.
Yeah.
I had to do 6.
I was gonna say. So the tramp stamp cuts down about 4.5 interviews.
Well, it's not that. It's because Camacho and Avo are like U.S. run brands for Davidoff. Zino is from Basel. It's from the headquarters. This is their new baby, and they want to push it more than anything else. And they're very excited about it. So I had to interview with the top guys over in Switzerland as well. So
did you show up in a suit?
I did not. I wore a yellow polo though.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I'm already on brand.
Right.
Yeah. So you got to hire me.
I have several of these at home.
Yeah. I just happen to have this.
I have so many yellow. I have so much yellow.
Yellow is my favorite color. Did I tell you guys that?
I'm a huge yellow fan.
So, but they're so protective over this brand because it has, Zino Davidoff's name on it. So they're like, this has to be somebody that we really believe in.
Right.
So it was a lot harder, but I didn't end up pulling my resume. I even lowballed myself when I asked how much money I wanted, and luckily they were pretty nice and they gave me like over asking.
Oh, okay.
So,
above asking.
Yeah,
that's good.
Like significantly above what I asked for.
Well, you're working your ass off.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't feel like it.
I mean, you're sitting in a fucking van.
Yeah.
You're traveling all around the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when do you have time off? How many hours a week, inclusive to driving? Like, how much time do you put into this brand every week?
Probably 100 hours a week.
100 hours a week.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel like it. Like
Yeah.
the setup of the event is, I would say, 3 hours per event. Setup and breakdown's like 3 hours total.
Okay.
Everything else aside from that is not work.
You're driving in a van.
Listening to cigar podcast, smoking cigars.
Okay.
Like I would do that anyways.
And no wife?
I have a girlfriend.
Okay.
Very, very understanding girlfriend. So, and she works from home, so she'll fly out and visit me in some states.
Where's home?
St. Peter. I moved to St. Petersburg. That's where Davidoff's headquarters is in the U.S.
All right.
So from Miami.
I have the coffee keg at my house now, by the way. The one that Jack was building that he kept screwing up. He had a nitro thing.
Oh, the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it going now. I'm dealing with the problems.
He's been trying to get like the whole office into nitro coffee, cold brew, and it's just not taking.
Okay, so here's what happened. So we did the kegerator giveaway, right? And I said, hey, just so you know, if anybody wins it, I will offer you a box of cigars for the kegerator.
Yeah.
Before we announced it.
Yeah.
So someone won it, and we worked out a deal. I want to be in 2 boxes, but hey, whatever. Yeah. I was excited because I want to do nitro cold brew in my house. Lo and behold, to me, I mean, all of a sudden I lit up Jack, and he's like, "Oh, here's what you got to do, and here's all these things, and like this is what you got to buy, and all this stuff." So I bought a kit.
Yeah.
And he sent me the keg, which is awesome because I didn't think he was going to send me the keg.
Yeah.
He sends me the keg. I try and put it together. Shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
The parts aren't the same. So I'm like, oh, fuck. So now I know that I'm over my head.
Yeah.
And I got to try and figure out how to get somebody in here to help me fix this whole scenario, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm currently at with this. But I have this beautiful plastic tub that we're doing 5 gallons of cold brew in. My wife does.
Yeah.
And it's just not attached to the keg. So it just sits in the kegerator in the fridge.
So
complete chaos.
Funny story. Jack figured out the one in the office somehow, right? And like my first day at work, this was like the big celebration.
Right.
It was like, oh, we got the cold brew working. And I was like, it's just cold brew, guys. And they're like, but they were so excited because I guess they've been working on it for a while.
Momentous occasion, yes.
So I start mixing, like a month later, I start mixing cocktails for the Zino event to try and see if I can make a mocktail that'll pair well with the cigar.
Right.
Long story short, I failed. But I was making these mocktails, and I put the bag of ice into the kegerator. I was like, oh, that'll last a few hours at least. And then all of a sudden there's like water puddled. I forget about it. And we come in the next day, there's water puddled all around it.
Right.
So immediately everyone just assumes it broke again. And they unplug it and they put it in the warehouse. And like I come in, I was like, I knew exactly what happened. I was like, what will you do for me if I can fix it? And like, you can't fix it, bro. Like this thing just like, it's a nightmare. And I just bring it upstairs and I plug it in and I was like, I fixed it. And they're like, what did you do? I was like, I know these things, bro. Right. So I just took the bag of ice out.
I'm a kegerator expert. That's awesome. Well, I do want to talk about one brief thing before we go as far as what's going on in the news. Because I found this was pretty fascinating. I want to segue out of it real quick because I feel like we're coming to an end here soon.
I'm just getting warmed up.
Are you?
Yeah.
About Liam Payne?
Yes.
The English pop singer, best known for his work in One Direction, has died at age 31.
Yes.
The singer fell from a 3rd-floor balcony at the Casa Sur Palermo Hotel in Palermo, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
People magazine has confirmed Payne was in Argentina, where he attended a concert by his former bandmate, Mr. Horan.
He has no idea what's going. He does these trending topics now, and he has.
Well, at least it's not a sports thing.
I didn't even know One Direction was still making music.
Well, it's not. I mean, Harry
I don't think
Styles
it
is
is.
the guy that was in One Direction, right?
Harry Styles was? I don't think so. Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
He was the guy, and
they
then
don't have everybody
he
listed.
kind of blew up, and he kind of left everybody else behind, right?
That's what they all do.
Kind of like New Kids on the Block.
Justin Timberlake, Beyonce, they all do it.
Yeah, they all break apart.
Yeah, they're just dead weight.
So this guy, he falls off of a third-story building and he dies.
Literally
Did he
dead
hit-
weight.
Did he hit his
Literally
head?
dead weight.
Did he hit his head or something? That's not that far.
I don't know. Apparently, he was jacked up or messed up or
Well,
something.
yeah, sure. That's not mentioned in the article. They've reached out to his people and the police for information, and they have not
So,
given a reply.
do you think Diddy was involved?
That's a good question.
Oh, maybe he knew
He was
stuff.
going to testify.
Maybe.
Do you think?
Did they find baby oil?
Someone told me Beyonce was in the country.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man. It's she.
The conspiracies are already like through the roof.
A lot of people have left America that they think would be interviewed for the Diddy stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's 31 years old.
Argentina's like a non-extradition state, so maybe he was there for a reason.
Yeah, some of the places people have gone, like a couple of people went to France, a couple of people went to England. Those are extradition countries, you'd think.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, where'd the...
It's just a process.
Julian
though.
Assange was in Argentina, right? Forever?
I think so.
Yeah, I think Argentina is a non-extradition.
Yeah. So that's a safe place to go to get away from Diddy.
I don't know. And that so if he stabbed himself 5 times and then fell off the balcony, I don't know.
Could have or hit things on the way down. Apparently,
Yeah.
sharp edges on the building.
Do you think it was the Zino guy? No. What do you think?
There was some yellow apparel. They said
Yeah, I
found.
found a lot of yellow things.
I would say the Zino Platinum guy would make a better hitman.
Yeah.
'cause he's all black and silver.
Gotcha.
So you don't want
Apparently, they saw a yellow van driving away from the scene in Argentina.
Argentina?
Yeah.
There's a lot of yellow vans out there. It's like DHL.
They're not really around that much anymore.
Yeah.
They're here. They're in existence. But Mike had a package come from DHL, and so he's really excited about this because this is a thing that we're working on for the upcoming PCA. Right.
Yeah.
So he's just sitting around. He's like, I can't wait for this to get here. I can't get. He's like, it's the next stop. Okay, and he's got to go. A half hour later, he's like, it's still the next stop. Now he's at Burger King. I'm like, what
They
the
send
fuck?
you tracking, and you can actually see the van move through the city.
Yeah. So this fucking guy sitting at Burger King, he's like, oh my God, he's getting lunch or something. So he waits almost the whole other hour
Yeah.
for this one stop. The guy comes in. Good.
The package is not in the van.
No.
Right. He goes, he goes through everything. He goes, I'm sorry, they must have left it back at the warehouse. I'm like, well, what does that mean? He goes, somebody will bring it tomorrow.
He comes in with his
Wow.
he comes in with his Burger King cup.
He did?
Yeah, he had Burger King in the front seat. Like, you son of a bitch.
Oh, so professional.
That's why DHL is not as many yellow vans.
Yeah.
The Zino van is probably
It's camouflaged in the fleet.
right.
Yeah. If you're gonna do a hit, camouflage your van.
That's it.
Blend in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So anything else you want to add before we cut you loose?
Oh man, so much stuff.
Go ahead.
So there's a cigar called the Zino Nicaragua. We could talk about that.
Okay. Whatever.
I think
man.
I wouldn't be doing my job if I love
Go ahead.
I love doing this stuff.
Right.
So
we talk about everything but cigars.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is the Zino Nicaragua, and there's a lot of brand identity issues with it.
Yeah.
Because we also have the Zino Platinum line.
Yes.
And most people don't realize that Davidoff's first name is Zino. So
Gotcha.
these are both lines are named after him. But the Zino Platinum line, which has been around forever, which is the ultra premium line, that's supposed to be Davidoff when he's refined in his later years. And the Zino Nicaragua is supposed to be Zino Davidoff when he was younger, traveling around the world before he even opened his shop.
Gotcha.
So he would travel all over the world. Like I think he started making his first cigars in the Philippines.
Okay.
When he first opened the shop, like he was making his own cigar, and he was sourcing it from the Philippines before he went to Cuba. And so that's what he did. He just traveled, and that's what this cigar represents, is like a young Zino. So it's a very approachable cigar for new smokers.
Mm-hmm.
It's also really good for like golfers or yard guards because it's a $7.50 cigar.
Right. So is this the one thing that you're promoting? Is the Zino Platinum period? That's it?
Zino Nicaragua.
Zino Nicaragua.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's a different guy with a black shirt.
Right. That's a hitman.
Well, I didn't know if I was doing platinum or Nicaragua. So I had an outfit for both for my interviews.
Right.
And then as soon as they say Nicaragua, I was like, throughout, I had like a silver suit. I
Yellow
just threw it out. He was like, yes, yellow polos.
I'll be right back. Hold on, guys.
Okay, so how many Vitolas is it?
We have the 5 sizes in America, right? The European market is different. They have like the cigarillos and stuff.
Okay.
So we have the Gordo, the big boy. We got the short torpedo, which is a very interesting cigar. So this cigar, for some reason, the smaller you make it, the better the flavor gets.
Gotcha.
So we have your Robusto and your Toro, the regular ones, and then we got this pre-cut half Corona, right? It's a very small cigar. I would never touch a cigar like that before. Mm-hmm. I'm not a cigarillo guy or anything. It's like it's hand rolled. It's machine cut at the factory. So you just like pull it out and light it. But I've been smoking the Robusto on the road the whole time. So eventually I got tired. I started smoking the Toro and the Gordo, and then I got into the half Coronas begrudgingly, and that turns out to be the best flavor of them all.
I believe that.
It's got this super great, like I get like a vanilla cupcake
and
flavor
yet here we are not smoking that one.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck, dude?
Smoking the Robusto.
Right? Like, that half Corona is fantastic.
This is the one he doesn't smoke anymore.
Enjoy. I don't smoke. The Robusto, I don't smoke that one anymore. I
have a lot of those. Would you guys like 2?
I kind of aged out of that. What do you smoke? Oh, yeah, the Robusto. I'm like, oh, perfect.
Yeah, that's the Robusto. It's still
it's good. It's good.
So, like, the Toro has, like, a slightly more difficult pull.
Right.
The Robusto is right in the middle. It's got the perfect pull. The Gordo is, like, a little bit airy.
Right.
And then the half Corona is just...
It's amazing.
It's so great.
It's so
good. Perfectly.
I don't have any with me, but that's the best one.
I would love to give you some. However, there's 75,000 of them in my van, and I'm not sharing.
Pretty much. They're all for me.
That makes sense.
Is it just the one blend?
Yeah, so you represent one blend.
One blend.
One cigar.
So you're out driving around the nation.
Yeah.
For one blend.
One blend. So
that's why it's not $100,000 anymore.
And that's right. Yeah. And I can get a kayak for that blend. This brand
crazy. It's a whole new line coming out from Davidoff.
Right.
So this is the new value line from Davidoff, which they've never done before.
Gotcha.
So all the cigars are sub $10 pretty much. So and
how much is the half Corona? So it's so small.
Well, it depends on what state. I've learned this throughout because like
MSRP standard MSRP is
I think it's $30 for a 5-pack.
Okay.
So $6 per cigar.
$6.
That's not bad.
So yeah, I've been in all these other states, and I didn't realize some states have like 80% cigar tax. So they're like, how much is that cigar? I'm like, this one's $7.50, and they come out and they're like, they said it's $14 in there. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry. We don't do taxes at Zino.
Yeah. I'm from Florida. We have no cigar tax, so we're blessed.
Well, you got to hit yourself with a disclaimer. Be like, well, I don't know what the taxes are in the state, but suggested retail.
I started saying that after a while. Right. I figured that out because most states were like, oh, it's 5% tax or 10% tax.
So what state have you had the most fun in so far?
Oh, that's a good question. That is a very good question.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, it's an hour later. I figured I'd get at least one good question.
Yeah, right. Tennessee, I think, has been one of my favorite states.
Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay, where? Nashville or Memphis? I mean, there's two totally different things.
I did everywhere in Tennessee.
Okay.
So I did, I started in Knoxville.
Okay.
Then I did, so I did Knoxville. Damn, it's been a while. I've done a lot of these. It's been a long,
I know. You live on the road. You're putting 110 hours in a week, and you're saying that you're having the time of your life, but
it's all a blur, Michael.
Eventually, the girl's like, "Hey, look, buddy, I'm fucking out of here. I'm not sticking around. You need to come visit me some or something. But you're doing this, so yeah, of course it's going to be a blur.
It is a blur. So I can't remember the order, but I've done Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, a couple smaller towns, and they're all great in their own way.
Right.
Like Memphis was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because first of all,
it can be.
Like I've never driven with a trailer before. This is like my third event, and I have to parallel park it on the main street, which is like there's a trolley there, like so.
And you got it back intact. Nobody took anything. They're like, yellow's not our color, is what.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's part of the interesting fact is I parallel park this thing. It's like the trolley's like inches away from it every time it passes.
Okay.
We do the event, and the shop's closing at like 6 p.m. on like a Saturday.
Right.
What are you doing closing so early? Like in Miami, your customers don't even start showing up till like 9 o'clock at night. Like, oh, nobody hangs out at night in Memphis.
Yeah,
Like,
this
is a different world at night.
Right.
So they close down the shop, and like these like 5 guys from the shop pull out lawn chairs and they sit on the sidewalk, and they just start hitting on every girl that walks by.
Wow.
This like old like barbershop style.
Right.
And I'm like breaking down this thing. It's August 3rd. I'm sweating my ass off.
Right.
I'm just laughing so hard listening to these guys just hit on everything. I'm
Doesn't
talking
matter.
like
it's got a pulse.
like 18-year-olds to grandmas.
Right.
Like everything. They have no shame.
That's
And,
awesome.
Yeah. And a lot of the girls were like hooting back at them.
Right.
I was having a good time.
Okay.
Also, like, you know, the Southern hospitality is a real thing. I had some issues. Like every shop I went to, people have helped me out. They've been, you know, super helpful. And obviously in Tennessee, everyone offered me bourbon everywhere I went.
Nice.
They're like, I've turned down more bourbon in that week than I have the rest of my life combined. They're like, why aren't you drinking? I'm like, I'm on the road like 6 hours a day.
I have
like,
to drive this
Drive the van.
because it's a bright yellow van, and if it swerves, I'm in so much trouble.
Yeah. And at that time, you know, I'd only had a week under my belt of driving with a trailer.
Right.
Now it's like second nature. I
Now
actually
you're a
have more
veteran.
trouble driving my pickup truck without a trailer
Right.
than driving with the trailer now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's like an extension of me now.
I would have never guessed Tennessee.
Yeah. So there's 2 of the most beautiful towns I've ever seen is Germantown, Tennessee, which is right outside of Memphis. So Memphis is, you know, it can get pretty crazy at night there.
Yeah.
Germantown is the most manicured, the most beautiful place I've ever seen. And then right outside of Nashville was Franklin, Tennessee. And I'm assuming that's where all the country stars live.
That's where all the bougie guys live.
Yeah, that place was absolutely stunning.
Yeah. Franklin Cigars over there. Crown Cigars is over there.
Yeah, we
A
did.
couple places.
Our event was at, can't remember.
Can't remember. It had to be where PJ is. I think it's Franklin's.
Let's see. Oh, my phone's over there.
It's
I have
all the way
everything
over there.
saved in my phone.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it's a nice place.
anyways, very nice place.
Yeah.
So, I guess the cable for the trailer had come out at one point.
Right?
And it was like dragging on the ground, and it like melted. And so when I got there, I was like, oh, wow. I was like, I have to figure out how to replace this trailer harness before I can move again to the next city. And like 3 guys there, like immediately get on the phone. They're calling electricians. They're calling like supply stores, and they figured it out for me. And I went to the closest Tractor Supply Co. Oh, this is pretty funny too. So they're like, just go to this Tractor Supply Co. It costs $35. This person's gonna help you out. Like I've never seen.
You're
like,
going to want to talk to Carl. Carl will be at the register. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. He
So-
already has the part waiting for you.
If this happened in Miami, people are like, good luck with that.
Yeah.
Give me the cigar though. Like, you know, stop wasting my time.
You know, if you give me a box, I can probably have someone stop by and take a look at it.
It'll be like $400. I don't know if they're gonna fix it. So they did all this for free. I gave them some swag as a thank you. I'm like, all right, it's 20 minutes away. All I have to do is get there. It's nighttime now. I have no trailer lights.
Right.
I was like, all I have to do is get there without a single cop pulling up behind me.
Right.
The second I pull out of that parking lot, a cop pulls behind me.
Done.
Like instantly.
Right.
And I'm freaking out because I see him immediately. He pulls to my echelon, like my back quarter. He's like there for like 5 minutes, and he pulls directly behind me. I can't see him anymore. I can't see around the trailer. So I'm like, oh man, I'm
fucked.
I'm looking off every shiny object to see a reflective object to see if his lights are on. I
Right.
can't tell. And then I pull up to the Tractor Supply Co. and he's not there anymore. It's like, when did he leave? I was sweating the whole 20 minutes, the longest 20 minutes of my life. I pull in the parking lot, they get me the part, and the guy installs it for free on the spot.
No shit.
Yeah. I was like, wow. It was like an hour and a half to install it. And
That's awesome.
There was like 19 wires in that cable.
Did you give him cigars or something or what?
I tried to give him everything.
he
Like
wouldn't
he was
take
like,
it.
"Oh, I need a headlamp." I went in, I bought a headlamp. I was like, "You keep the headlamp. That's yours." He's like,
Right.
"No, I already got one. Don't worry about it." And I was like, "All right." I was like, "Well," he's like, "Oh, I need these clippers, you know, or like what's it called? You know, the tool to smash the little cable holder.
Crimpers.
Right.
Crimper."
Yeah.
He's like, "I need a crimper." I go in there. I was like, "Give me the most expensive crimpers you got."
Right. This guy's
I bring it out.
he's leaving with good stuff.
Yeah, I
Right.
give it to him. I was like, "You keep that." He's like, "No, I can't do that. I just can't do it. I'm here to help you, man." This is like, "Please stop trying to give me stuff. I just want to help." And I was like, "Jesus."
So now you have really nice wire crimpers in the car.
I do.
And a headlamp.
Super nice headlamp. Like, it's probably brighter than headlights on it.
Those are raffle items, dude. When you go and activate a brand, you're like, by the way, slightly used headlamp.
It's a little bit orangish. It's not yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a
It's
spray
yellow,
paint.
yellow or bust.
Yellow or bust. Yellow kayak or nothing.
Yeah. So we do have another cigar coming out.
That was going to be my next
Yeah.
question.
So I've smoked it. I can't give anyone information on it, but I have
Okay.
smoked it. It is very delicious. Like This line has no business being under $10. But when it does come out, I don't know what color it's going to be.
Is it more medium or medium full?
It is. It's got more body to it.
Okay.
It's darker.
Okay.
That's as much as I could say.
That's all I can say.
It's not a Connecticut.
And it's not going to be black and silver.
No.
No.
The Zino Platinum line is like
Somebody else already has those colors.
Yeah, it's already been taken.
Yeah. That line is like super like I smoked one of each before my interview. I was like, I could do either of these.
Right.
Hopefully it's the platinum because this is I could smoke these for the rest of my life. Just these.
Do I get to guess the color? Can I guess the color?
I don't know the color. So
You don't know the color?
No, I don't.
If it's purple, you have to go to Louisiana and do an LSU whole thing.
I'll spend the whole year there.
Yeah. Just yellow
darn.
and purple. Yeah, exactly. Here's the mild and here's the fuller, and you need to buy both.
That in L.A. Hang out with the Lakers.
Yeah, you can do the Lakers.
Yeah. We should do purple.
We should do purple.
For those of you listening, blaze purple.
So we looked at R&D and
Purple. That purple right there.
there you go, purple.
So
Like my Zoa.
yeah.
Do you look good in purple too? Because the yellow is really popping.
I've never tried it. I never tried yellow before. Like my entire wardrobe was nothing but OD green and black. That was
Right.
it. So now it's got a lot of yellow in it. So if we get a purple, I'll start leaning into the purple outfits.
Do you wear shirts that actually fit you or just the smaller ones?
So
That's all they make. They only make those, Michael. It only comes in the one
They only
size.
come in toddler size or
I never learned how to do laundry properly, so I always buy large,
right?
and they always just shrink down to like a small.
Gotcha.
And I'm just too lazy to replace
All right,
them.
so then R&D, we need a 50-50 cotton poly blend
Yeah.
moving forward.
No more cotton shirts.
No more 100% Honduran cotton shirts.
I bought these really nice like polo shirts from this company called Retro Rifle. They're awesome, and I have this yellow one with flowers all over it. And I wash it, and it shrank like 3 times the size. I can't wear it anymore. And I looked at it, and it says hand wash only.
Oh, damn.
So
Is that I hope that was a company expense.
no, I bought that with my own money.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
The company is pretty good with that
They're
stuff.
liberal. Yeah. As long, you know what? Here's what I've learned. I think that if you always treat the company money like it's your own money,
Yeah.
and you're responsible with it, then no one's watching you,
Yes.
right? But the minute that you start kind of going sideways on things, like, yeah, no problem, just swiping that card, people are like, whoa, what's going? $700 pizza. I don't. What happened here?
Yeah. I heard back in the day they were pretty liberal with the marketing budget. They were just like, I mean, we had the Tom Landry cigar,
Right.
the Camacho Tom Landry cigar. They rented a private jet. They were flying with Tom Landry all over the country. It was like, I'm like, I want to go back to that, Davidoff.
Right? That sounds fantastic.
And they're like, we're never going back to that, Davidoff.
that's not happening. There's a big red line for that year because of it.
Yeah, they're like, we got the private jet, you get the van.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You don't even.
It's a minor downgrade.
Yeah,
Minor downgrade.
It's a private van, though.
You don't even get a Delta card. I mean, you get Citgo gas card. That's it.
Yeah. So I'm the only guy that drives.
Right.
Jack gets to fly everywhere. The
Right.
Davidoff brand ambassador, Alex, brand activation manager.
Yes.
Alex Waghorn, he gets to fly everywhere. He's like executive platinum with American.
Right.
Like I have 0 points with any airline.
Nothing. Nothing. But gas miles. You know. I mean, Shell's got to love you. You got to do Shell. Shell's yellow.
I mean, I mostly do the truck stop gas station.
Right.
Because I can't, which have the cleanest bathrooms. I
Right.
learned that. You don't want to stop at like a Shell or any of those. You want to stop at a Love's or a Flying J's because
Right.
they have
They
clean
maintain it,
bathrooms.
yes.
Yeah. Or Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's, yeah. Those are the best bathrooms in the country.
These are you can write a whole book now on life on the road.
I want to do a whole channel on just bathroom reviews.
Right.
Like a whole Instagram.
Dude, if you did, you would crush. Are you kidding me? All right, so we're at.
Could you imagine the look on guys, all these truckers' faces while I'm reviewing the bathroom? Like, hey, Bill, how's your shit going? You rate
How's the
that a
toilet
5
paper in there,
Yeah.
Bill? How's that going?
Is that a 2-ply
Yeah.
or what are we at here?
Is it soft? How many wipes?
All right, well, I think this is where we kind of table it off. What do you think?
We're talking about poop now. Come on.
Well, sir, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you
Likewise.
very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
an honor.
This is fantastic, and we got a little present for everybody when we release this. So, a little nugget. We like to do these interviews now. We kind of incorporate them throughout the week. So.
Right after we talk about shit, you're going to call it a little nugget?
Yeah, a little nugget, a little small
We got a
nugget.
little nugget.
A
We're gonna give to you.
Buc-ee's special. Little nugget.
They do have the golden Buc-ee's nuggets.
There you go. You get some Slim Jims and a purge. So, all right. Well, thanks again, man. I appreciate
My
you.
pleasure. Thanks for having me, brother.